Today I'm going to be installing the Hayman Reese X bar onto a 2018 PXII Ford Ranger. I've just taken delivery of the X bar, which is a pretty mean bit of kit, and so I'm replacing the standard Ford bar, which is on there, which is that one. And basically what it does is gives you a little bit of extra height on your tow bar, and also brings the actual tow bar itself out from underneath the tray. So with the Ford Ranger and the tray itself, the existing tow bar actually sits in underneath the tray. So for those people that have got caravans, and as I found out, is that when you turn with your caravan, the back of your tray actually hits on stone guard on the caravan. So this is a bit of an effort to move the tow ball itself out from underneath the tray and give me a better turning circle. So if we look at weights, the existing bar, so the Ford bar that's there, I weighed that after I got it off, and it's about 30, just over 30 kilos in total, not including the hitch. And so the difference is that the X bar with all its bits is just over 50. So just be mindful that when you are feeding this to your car, that you're adding about an extra 20 kilos. So for those people that are close to their GVMs or gross vehicle mass, that you need to bear that in mind, that you are adding an extra 20 kilos in weight. So when you get your kit, what you actually get is they pretty much send you everything. You can see there the two side mounts over there, so one for the left, one for the right, the main bar itself, and you get your recovery points. So red recovery points on the outside and the middle. So the two outside ones are rated to 4 tonne, and the centre one is actually rated to 8 tonne. So if I'm in that much trouble and I'm trying to do that, then yep, there's an issue. There's also a bash plate, which is that one there. So that sits up underneath and protects your wiring. And then there's the plate that goes across the top, and they also have a clip that fits in underneath and spots for your trailer plugs, both the Anderson plug and a 12 or 7 pin trailer plug, which is good. All the nuts and bolts and plates that you need. Fairly self-explanatory instructions there. So I haven't fitted one of these before and don't usually fit tow bars, but giving it a crack, given that looks reasonably easy, and they say the installation time is approximately 60 minutes, but I don't think it'll take me, I don't think I'll be that quick today. They also give you the drop down hitch, which is good because I'm actually raising my tow bar itself. The drop down hitch allows, basically brings the tow ball height back to nearly where it was on the existing bar, probably raised a little bit, but so the difference is that the X bar actually comes straight out from the chassis rails, and sits just below the drawer there. So I am going to either lose or have to move my reversing camera, which is sitting under the Ford logo there, but I'll have a look at where I remount that afterwards, and also reposition my number plate, which I've already taken off. And so other than that, I think we'll get into it. And I guess the tool's an important tool that you do need when you're fitting these, because all of the bolts have to be tensioned and torqued up. So in the instructions, it does actually have the required torque for each of the bolts, which you can see there. So all of the bolts need to be torqued up to certain torque there. So most important torque you need, and I'm lucky enough to have the Milwaukee torque wrench there, electronic digital torque wrench, which is going to come in very handy. And yeah, so anyhow, I reckon we'll get into it. Okay, so the first things I'm going to fit is the side bars, so the mounting plates themselves. So there is a left and a right, and also a plate to go in the centre for your bolts from underneath. Yeah, so as you can see, I've already disconnected all the wiring from the old one. One thing I didn't mention is that the kit actually comes complete with a full wiring loom. So if you don't actually have an existing tow bar on your vehicle, is that the kit comes with a full wiring loom as well, which I don't need because I've already got all that there, so, which makes it very easy. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm just loosely doing them up at the moment, and I'm going to leave these two side plates loose, and so that I'm able to move them away. So once we actually bring the bar up into the centre, I've got a little bit of room to move in between. So I am going to leave these a little bit loose, and then once we've actually got the main thing fitted, we'll be able to tighten everything up. I'm going to leave all of the torque tightening until afterwards, and then so once I've got the whole thing on there, then go through and actually torque everything up and mark each of the bolts. Good thing to do is mark them with a black texture or something, which just means that indication that you've actually torqued that one up. So all right. So this is the plate that slides into your chassis rail, which has already got the bolts fixed to it. So that slides up into there, and with your bolt fit up from underneath, and you can bolt that in. Again, I'm just leaving it loose and torquing them up later. There's also one bolt which you actually have to put a nut on, so which is the one there. So that gets into there, and some skinny fingers. Place them into there. So that's the only one that actually has a nut and an additional washer on it as well. And yeah, so that's the left hand side, and we'll do the right hand side. So now that I've done the left side, so I'm now doing the right. And what I did notice is that on the plates that go inside the chassis rail, they're actually off centre. So just make sure that you get those matching where the holes are up underneath, so that the plate sits nice and straight in the chassis rail. I'm just going to tighten this one up and just leave it hand tight at this stage, which will then allow just something solid to sit it against when I'm lifting the main bar up and putting it in place. Okay, so I'm just using a little bit of improvisation here now that I've got to lift the main bar in. So what I'm using is a little trolley jack and an old wheel, which I can get it up most of the way, but because the bar is up a little higher, I'm going to use some straps which I've hooked up, and hopefully I'll be able to use them to ratchet it up and hold it in place instead of trying to manual handle it. And so we'll see how that goes. It yeah, might work, might not. We'll see what happens. So now that I've got it up that far, it's now a case of trying to fit the red side bar. So that's why we kind of left it loose. Essentially clipping the side there. And the important thing is that the recess needs to be inwards. So that can go in there. I may need to loosen off the right one just to get it in. I'm going to put one bolt in just to hold that tight while it sits there, before that falls off. And that at least holds that in place. Now for the left hand side. So the strap worked a treat, and yeah, really helped with that manual labour side of things. So I didn't have to try and hold it in place while bolting it in. So yeah, it made it a lot easier. Alright. Yeah, we'll take the other strap off. Okay, so now that I've actually got it fitted up onto the back of the car and in place, I'm going to now tighten up and torque up the sides just so that it's at least tight before I do the centre bolts for the recovery point. And in the instructions it says to tighten these up in an even sequence. So what I'll do is I'll do that front one there first, then do the back one, and I'll do the same for the other side, and then come back and do the two top ones. So that way it's a little bit even. So these ones on the outside, so the M12s have to be torqued up to 140 Newton meters, and so I'll do those first, and then do the other side, and then come back and do the center ones there. Might just nip them up with a socket set first, just to get it up. We've got the two underneath as well, so they've got to be done. So I'm just going to tighten those up just so they're snug, so that it just makes sure that the bar is fitted up hard under the chassis rail itself. And then just nip that one up so that it's ready to go. Alright, so I've got my Milwaukee electronic torque wrench there, so all set at 140 Newton meters, which you can see that or not, but anyhow, that's on there. And yeah, so I better put the socket on it, that'll make it a lot easier. Put that on there. This one first. So when I pull the trigger, so it'll start tightening, and then it'll get to a point where it goes snug, and then it's just a case of pulling it round until it turns green. Just go the right way. Reset that. There it is, turned green. So, all right, so that's the first one. So now I'll do the back one. There we go. That's it. So, all right, we'll go and do the other side. I'll just do the same to the other side, so just nip up so that it sits nice and snug. So I know that it's sitting under the chassis rail there. Perhaps nip these ones up as well, just to right. Okay. And again, so 140 for these ones. Make sure that you hang on to it. Alright, so that's the front and the back one's done. And now we'll do these two. I know that one there actually has a nut up on the inside, so I'm going to need a spanner for that one. But I'll do this one now and then get that done. And I might do the two bottom ones, get it pulled up that way and then get those ones nipped up. So they're 140 as well. There we go, green light. So bottom one's tensioned, and then I'll do that front one there, and come back and do that one. Do that one last. Go back to the other side and get that one done. Okay, back to the left-hand side of passenger side. So I'll do these two underneath and get them done. And one up the middle, which now has the nut on the inside. So, case of getting a spanner up the middle, and I'll just go hunting for the spanner. And with that on there, it should be right now to up. And just gently remove the spanner. So those ones are now torqued up, ready to go. I'll do those other two on the other side, and then we can start on the black ones at the back there. And then do the two on the four on the recovery point in the middle. Okay, so back on the right hand side again, and I've just got my black texture. I did forget about that, so even though I've done the front one, so I'm just going to put a cross on that one. I've done that one, so cross that one. So that one's moving, so that one's the next one to do, so I'll do that. And I've done the two underside ones, and I've marked ones on the other side, so handy to do that, so it just saves you going back around, and yeah, I'm trying to do that later. Alright, so actually we have done that one, so so I just checked to make sure, so handy just to check and make sure, because you don't want to leave it in case you have it. So just easy, put torque wrench back on, give it a bit of a pull, there you go, so back into the green. So that's done. Alright, and now the middle one. Beautiful, that's that one done. So all been done now on each side, so we're all tight there. Now we've just got the black ones to go, so to torque those up, and these ones get torqued up to 175, so a little bit bigger and a bit more effort. Might be jumper off time. Okay, so now that we've got the actual main supports bolted onto the chassis rail, so now we'll bolt the crossbar onto under there. So these ones here are actually 175 Newton meters, so a little bit tighter. So yeah, we'll see how we go. So I'm good with these ones. I'm actually going to do them in an even pattern as well. So I'll do this one first, up to there, then down, and then back up again. So yeah, a little bit of an even pattern that way. Alright, let's see what happens. Should hang on to that. Just reset that again. Here we go again. Alright, so that's those 4 done, and I've got a little white marker here which I'm going to use, hopefully it works, just to put a mark on them, just to say that they've all been done. Just a bit of a double check. Alright, we'll move to the other side. Alright, so I'll start. That's all 4 done on there. I'll just put a white mark on each of those, so you know that they're done. Right, and we move on to the middle one. Okay, so now we've got the ends all torqued up and right to go. So they're now both done on both ends. So now I'm going to torque up the recovery point in the middle. Now they're 175 newton meters as well. Now in the instructions it says to drop the spare wheel down, and just for ease of access, which I've only just done, I didn't need to before. The beauty of the cab chassis is there's plenty of access underneath, and so yeah, sort of didn't need to drop that down. Now the one thing I have discovered is that when I went to drop this down before, and I'm not sure whether Hayman Reese have actually thought about it, is that the actual mechanism to get the tyre down is actually up in there. Now that bar is supposed to come straight out and be able to access it. So with that sitting up in its spot in there, it's supposed to come straight out and over the top. This is certainly something to think about, I think, if you were getting one of these. And I'll just get over the top of my light. So now you actually can't get that bar in there anymore, so which creates a bit of an issue. So that's where it used to go. Sit up in there, get my light out of the way, and let me get that light out of the way. Put that up there. So yeah, it used to sit in there, but now she no go. So that's going to create a bit of an issue as far as getting the spare wheel down and up once you've actually fitted these. So I would imagine that it's not going to be an issue if you've got a canopy and your spare wheel is actually mounted on the back of your canopy up there, because you're certainly not getting down underneath. But for me, having still got my spare wheel mounted underneath, the only way I was actually able to undo it was to put the bar in there. And if I can get the camera down here underneath, let's put that in up there. I'm assuming you can see. and actually use the spanner on there to undo it. Now, it's a bit of a lengthy process because with the weight of the wheel, you can't wind it down by hand. So yeah, certainly something to consider if you are getting one of these bars and you haven't got your spare wheel mounted on the back of your canopy, is that yeah, that's going to be a big issue. So yeah, Hayman Reese, if you watch this, you need to allow a little bit extra room in there just to be able to get yeah, to get the spare wheel winded down. So which could be done just by maybe dropping this down a fraction and giving it a little bit more room. Anyhow, so we're going to torque up these ones now, so 175, and yeah, I'll be lying down for this one, I think. So. Alright, so painstakingly now dropped my spare wheel right down, so bit by bit. It's just going to be a pain in the bum getting that back up now, but shit happens, I guess. So yeah, now we'll torque up these four on the recovery point, so 175, and yeah, also got to make sure that the plate that sits on top actually slides in underneath. Alright, it's probably one thing I haven't checked and probably need to check to make sure that it actually slides in. Might do that now before we torque them up. Get the plate, so this is the plate that sits on the top here, and neatens it up a bit. I may need to loosen those bolts off, slide that in, and then do that way. So at least we know that slides in underneath and neat and tidy. So we'll do that now. I might just put the nuts down in there so that at least that's sitting in its place. At least we know that it's located. So that's pretty much right where it is now. And it's just a case of getting that torqued up. There we go. Use that. Alright, so these ones are torqued up to 175, same as the others. Let's smash my head first. More than one way to skin a cat. Alright, so that's that done. Torqued up, and so now what we'll do is we'll get the wiring cables we've got to fit into there before we fit the bash plate up underneath, and get that bolted down in place as well. So we'll see, we go, keep going. Beautiful. Alright, so I managed to get up underneath now and bolt the wiring. So I've brought my wiring across from the side and bolted that up, which is a bit fiddly. I haven't bolted that on the main plate, but possibly easier to try to get them on without, but it might be a little bit fiddly to do that. I'll just show you up underneath if I can. I'll go right under there. Right. You can see there, there's my assistant sitting out there, just our legs anyway. And so, yeah, they sit up under there and bolt in. So then there's the bash plate that has to fit up underneath there now too. So we'll do that now. Okay. All right. So now we're fitting the. We're going to fit the top plate there with the wiring attached and everything else, and then we'll put the bash plate on underneath because we've got 2 bolts we've got to do up under there. So these bolts underneath have to be done to 22 Newton meters. So again, we're going to torque wrench out, set to 22, and set to go. So. There we go. And the last one, which is actually impossible to get to. So, because of the trailer plug. So, note to self, don't put trailer plug in until you've actually tightened up the main bar on top. Alright, so we might need to take the trailer plug off so that we can at least get that tightened up. Bit of a bugger. So I've got the 12 pin plug for my van, so it's a little bit bigger and bulkier. reattached. Now in with the bash plate. The bash plate fits neatly up in there. And bolts up into that location with the bolts. And my assistant is busy and looking at her phone.
What do you want?
The bolts, please.
Which ones? These ones?
Yep. Oh, and the other ones that are there too, if there's any others. Yeah. Into there. Just need the washer on top, washer. Yeah. Good.
You must have 2 washers on that one.
Huh?
Oh, I did not put that in.
No, you got hold of it.
You were holding it. The back one.
So put that one into there. Washer onto there. This one's got washer top and bottom. Onto there. Yep, that'll do. And torque wrench. They need to be torqued to 22. And down to 48, yep. Beautiful. Okay, set 48. And better put the Beautiful. So that's done. And the last thing that's left to do is to cable tie up my wiring and sort that out. It's all from underneath, I guess. Alright, so after, I don't know how long it's taken, but a little bit of fiddling around here and there, but there it is, the X-bar fitted to the 2018 Ford Ranger PXII. Plenty of room under there now. And also the increased the departure angle, and the beauty is that the tongue now sits outside of, and the table sits outside of the back of the car. So when you look across there, at least we've got the table out from under the car now. So there you go. That is the Hayman Reese X-Bar fitted. Make sure that you, if you like this video, click on subscribe below and click on like if you like, and feel free to place any comments you like.